So with a few game twos already completed and a couple more in progress today, currently Atlanta is going against Miami for their second game in Miami, and of course coming up soon will be Minnesota and Memphis for game two, which is looking to be the best, one of the best series in round one. I think the best ones are going to be Boston and Brooklyn, but we have a few game twos already completed, and yeah, I was wrong about Denver and Toronto dragging those series out to 6 games. Now it's still possible, but with both teams getting blown out in both games, yeah, I'm gonna just bump that down to 5 for both of them. Like, I really want to lean sweep, but maybe they just get one on the home court because of the pride, or Philadelphia plays bad on the road for one game. Same with same with Golden State. But yeah, it does not look good for either one of those teams right now. Again, they both had times they kept the games competitive, but then they end up on the receiving end of a blowout still. 20 points in the first game by Toronto, 15 in the second game. First game they did a good job on Harden and Embiid when it came to them struggling from the field. So they weren't the most efficient. Of course, they got to the line, but they did a good job on them, came to them struggling on the field. But that first game, they focused so much attention on Harden and on Embiid. You had, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey going off, and they're both shooting really efficiently from the field. I mean, Tobias Harris is averaging 23 points, over 60% from the field. Tyrese Maxey, again, 26 points, 5 and 5 essentially, over 60% from the field. Danny Green had a dunk in the most recent game. They're not in good shape. I thought it was a bad matchup for Philadelphia. Nope, it was a bad matchup for Toronto. Embiid was making more of his shots in game two, and he was getting to the line a lot in the first quarter. And I know some fans are going to complain about him being a foul merchant, blah blah blah, but they're fouling him, and some of those calls, yeah, are they soft? But they're still fouls. So if you take a few of those free throws away, I still think he earned at least 8 of those free throws in the first quarter out of the 12 he got. Like, it's just not a good matchup for them. When they have guys sending help, or when Nick Nurse has guys sending help, it's like Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet. That's not going to do much in Embiid. And then when they blitz hard and he's able to, find out the open shooter, whether it's Niang, whether it's Tobias, Maxey, it just doesn't look good for them. I thought it was going to be a longer series, but it's not. I mean, I'll tune into game 3. If it gets, out of hand, I won't tune into game 4 or game 5, because while there's a good chance, Toronto could win one, because Philadelphia just plays bad. Yeah, that series is over. Same thing for Denver. Now, this is more due to the fact they just don't have their best players available. But Nikola Jokic, he's gonna get that superstar slander. He's been initiated. Like, he's officially a bona fide superstar. He's gonna be a 2-time MVP. He's got, well, it looks like he's going to get swept in consecutive years. I almost said he got swept. But it looks like he's going to have an early and disappointing exit in consecutive years as an MVP. He's going to get that generational superstar slander. And yeah, it kind of sucks because he doesn't have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And that's just a game. We knew they weren't going to be available for this series. And while there has been some rumors about Jamal Murray, like when you got Coach Malone saying that he's nowhere near ready, at the end of the regular season, then yeah, he's not ready for playoff level basketball yet. If he wants to go out there and try, that's all fine and dandy, but I don't think he's ready yet. And it's not surprising to me because I did predict that Kawhi and Jamal Murray would miss, the entire year because they got injured later on in the season by the playoffs. And when you miss a year later on to the season, you're not going to be able to play any of those games. So you'll be coming off back when it's playoff time, when you're playing more intense basketball. So it's just not the best situation for the Clippers, but more specifically the Nuggets in this situation. And doesn't look good, man. Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris, it's not enough. Maybe Mike Malone got to, trot out Bones Highland a bit more. I mean, they have nothing to lose. They're already down 2-0. They got blown out twice. Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, all been cooking them. Even Draymond's making some open threes. Doesn't look good for them at all. And Draymond's done a really good job in Nikola Jokic in these past 2 games. He hasn't made any of his threes when Draymond's close defender. He's shooting like around 25%. His assists have gone down. Yeah, not good for the MVP. The consecutive MVP, which is unfortunate. I also think they should give out the regular season award at the end of the season, right where it ends, instead of doing it later, because it doesn't look good, fans have a bad taste in their mouth when they see Nikola Jokic, potentially get swept, and he's accepting the award, a couple weeks later, or a couple games, later after they got swept. It's just not the best look. It doesn't help when the NBA media also shames its MVPs and its players, or when that MVP voting is just, inconsistent from year after year, because some years it's the best stats, some years it's the best record. They gotta get a more concrete definition. But like, if you're asking me, you gotta be a top 5 player. The team's gotta be, pretty good or all right, and that's what you can do to get the MVP. I don't know what the NBA is gonna do when it comes to their consistency in their voting, because they have voter fatigue. They got the narratives that keep guys from getting it. Like, they didn't start talking about, well, shit, we might as well go on a tangent about the awards. Oh, Marcus Smart's Defensive Player of the Year, which I thought was going to go to Mikal Bridges, and went to Marcus Smart. I could see why, though. He's essentially the team captain of the best defense in the league. They give it to him for that, which is fine. The issue is really, though, they didn't really start talking about him, in the running for this award, until very late in the season. And the Celtics already made their turnaround around the All-Star break. So I don't know why it took them so long to start talking about him being in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. But again, voter fatigue can come into play. Did they really want to give Rudy Gobert for a 4th time? No. Hell no. And Bam Adebayo, you could say he's the most versatile, the best defender in the league. But he didn't miss, a handful of games, which is going to hamper him from getting it. So it going to Smart's fine. He's the first guard since Gary Payton, which is, rather shocking. There's been other, great defensive guards. I mean, it's been a perimeter-oriented game for the last 7 years. So you think a guard that's, playing good defense consistently year in and year out would have won it by now. But glad to see Marcus Smart get it. Hopefully Mikal Bridges can get it next year. But I really like to see Anthony Davis get it. He has to be healthy to do that. So we'll just wait and see. But yeah, when it comes to MVP voting, and guys having a late surge, like they did that with Devin Booker, even John Morant and DeMar DeRozan at one point, and that was because DeMar DeRozan had like a stretch of games shooting 50% from the field, over 30 points, the most 40-point game since Michael Jordan, all that jazz, that gave him a late game surge. Same with Ja having like him averaging like 35 points in a week. Like they be giving some players late surges for no reason, but. Yeah, but I'm not mad that Marcus Smart won it. I thought Mikal would win it, but it going to Marcus Smart, that's a good decision. I just wish they would have talked about him, more throughout the season, so it being very sudden when it came to his surge for being Defensive Player of the Year. And speaking of Defensive Player of the Year, let's talk about the 3-time DPOY himself, Rudy Gobert. Now, the Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks, they split the first 2 games at Dallas. They're going back to Utah tomorrow. Utah should win that game. There is more optimism about Luka being ready for Game 3 and Game 4. I think he plays in Game 4. They're able to buy him some time in Game 2 by winning. Jalen Brunson had 40 points. Very efficient from 3. They only had 3 turnovers as well. Only had 3 turnovers. They made a lot of threes. Like they made 17 uncontested threes, which isn't surprising because they decided to go small. Dwight Powell only played around 18 minutes. They put in Maxi Kleber. Kleber was shooting awful since the All-Star break, but being that the Jazz perimeter defenders are so weak and they can, key in on that and essentially scheme Rudy out the game with a stretch 5, Maxi Kleber lights up the Jazz for 8 threes out of 10 attempts. Very efficient. Again, they were able to scheme Rudy out the game by the Jazz perimeter defender getting beat. He goes to help. There's no one to rotate in the corner. Splash. And this isn't surprising at all. We saw it last year with Tyronn Lue and Trey Mann having 32 points in the game. Will they make an adjustment? Will they start giving up layups? I have no idea. Well, they're not going to give up layups because the percentages are just a lot better on giving up those wide open threes. But if those guys are hot and they make the threes, you're going to lose that game. Because Kleber hit 8 threes. Jalen Brunson hit 6 threes. And Brunson had 41 points. He is going to get paid. And he deserves it. I mean, could you say it's a bit of a fluke? It's a contract year and guys playing really good in the contract year? Sure, but he's playing good, and you play good in the contract year, you typically get the bag. I mean, you hope it's not a Julius Randle situation, but I would have to say his game is more sustainable, or it's a lot less outliers compared to Julius Randle in his incredible season last year. So, yeah, he's going to get paid. A team that's going to have the cap space and that can, contend, or looking for someone that can, help them contend. They'll definitely have an eye on them. I know the Lakers would like to get someone like Jalen Brunson, but they don't got the funds for that. They got to get rid of Westbrook's contract first. So, Yeah, he's gonna get paid. He's gonna have a few more good games. I still don't have the Mavericks winning that series because the games Luka's going to miss, and when Luka does come back, he won't be 100%. He's still going to be very good because, you know, it's Luka Doncic. But you definitely want you guys to be 100% in the playoffs. You're playing more intense basketball, and, you know, they'll be able to key on more of those weaknesses if he's not completely healthy. And let's talk about a few more game twos. You have the Bucks and the Bulls tomorrow. You got the Pelicans and the Suns tonight. Chris Paul had a virtuoso, 30 points, 10 assists. He had 17 straight points for the team. 14 straight by himself, responsible for 17 straight in the fourth quarter. He just took over the game. Very great to see. Very nice to see. Bulls are getting swept. They should have won that game. Vooch missed some bunnies down the stretch. DeMar DeRozan had a vintage DeMar DeRozan playoff performance. Wasn't very efficient from the field. Only had 18 points. Giannis dominated them, even though he got foul trouble thanks to Caruso playing some excellent defense on him. Yeah, they're getting swept. They had a chance to win that game because the game got out of hand. They made it close, but they just didn't execute down the stretch. I got the Bulls losing in 4. KD wasn't his best in game 1 versus Boston. Kyrie was on fire, but their defense, it kind of sold them out in the end. Whether it was, KD blowing an assignment, Kyrie having to guard Tatum on a drive, spins off him, gets a layup, buzzer beater, they win the game. I don't think KD's going to shoot that bad in the series again, but I don't think, Kyrie's going to have another game like that where he's just on fire like that. Now, they still have great games. They both score a lot, but how efficient Kyrie was that game, the shots he was making in the fourth to make the game close, I don't think he's going to have another game like that. Well, in the next couple of games, he'll have another game like that, but it won't be the next two. I don't think so. I think those will go to KD. You just got to hope you have both of them on all cylinders to win a game. Memphis and Minnesota. This game should be flexed on TNT, but it's on NBA TV. Even though you got the Pelicans and the Suns playing tonight, that game has a bigger chance of being a blowout compared to Minnesota. In Memphis, you have Atlanta and Miami playing that game too. The game was close when I started recording this video. It was at the end of the first quarter. It was only like a 2-point deficit between one of the teams. So that game's looking a lot better. Game's close. But when it comes to the Suns and the Pelicans, that has a bigger chance of being a blowout than Minnesota and the Grizzlies. And they should have flexed that game. Again, that's a high-scoring game. Those teams both play with pace. You got some star power when it comes to Anthony Edwards, Cat, Ja Morant. I would just figure they would rather flex that game and have it on TNT compared to the Pelicans and the Suns. But they are the 1 seed, so I guess they get that prime time treatment. And that's really all I got. I'm going to tune back into this game 2 for Atlanta. Memphis and Minnesota should be starting up soon in the next couple of minutes. So without the way, ladies and gentlemen, y'all stay safe, and I'm out.